הקלטה. תהיה לכל מי שנמצא כאן איתנו בעצם גישה גם לראות את הוובינר לאחר מכן, את ההקלטות, ואתם מוזמנים ככה לעשות בזה שימוש חכם גם אחר כך. ברשותכם נתחיל, ובטח יצטרפו אלינו עוד כמה וכמה אנשים תוך כדי תנועה. נועם, אני רואה שהצטרפת, אז אם הצטרפת זה טוב, אני אשמח לעזרה באישורים של באישורים של מי שהצטרף. אז ברוכים הבאים שוב לוובינר שלנו של היום, לגבי הצעדים המומלצים והאפשרויות לגבי פתיחת פעילות עסקית בפורטוגל. יש כל מיני סוגים של פעילויות עסקיות, מי שמכם בטח נתקל בשלבים הראשונים יודע קצת יותר. איתנו נמצא פדרו גררו, הבעלים של שאטו-ביז, רואה חשבון פדרו גררו, שישתף איתנו קצת על הצעדים הראשונים, וגם באמת כאן כדי לענות על השאלות שלכם. יהיו פה הרבה דברים, נקרא לזה יחסית בסיסיים, רק לצורך אישור קו, ואנחנו גם בשמחה נצלול לדברים שהם קצת יותר מתקדמים, אז תרגישו שוב חופשיים מאוד לשתף אותנו בשאלות שלכם. הוובינר הזה, כמו שאר הוובינרים שלנו, הוא חלק מסדרת הוובינרים החינמית שלנו, שנקראת ישראלים בפורטוגל. מי מכם שאולי מכיר ואולי לא, אז עשינו לא מעט וובינרים כאלה בעבר, על מערכת החינוך, על רילוקיישן לפורטוגל, אזורים שונים, רכישת נדל"ן, פיתוח עסקי, מימון, you name it, באמת שיש המון המון מידע באתר שלנו, ואתם לגמרי מוזמנים לעשות בו שימוש, ויש שם, אני חושב, אחד הבסיסי ידע הכי רחבים שיש היום, זמינים ככה בעברית. קצת על מה שהולך להיות כאן היום, אז אנחנו באמת קצת פתחנו והצגנו את עצמנו, תכף נציג גם צוות בורטוקלה. קצת על הקמת עסק בפורטוגל, מה זה באמת אומר בכלל, איזה מושגי יסוד צריך להכיר, ומיד אחרי זה נצלול לסוגי הפעילויות שקיימות, קצת יותר על המספרים, ההבדלים בין הצורך להקים חברה, מה ההבדל בין הקמת חברה להקמת פעילות באופן אישי, זאת אומרת, מה שמקביל כמו עוסק פטור או עוסק מורשה בישראל. נדבר קצת על ההקבלות והשוני בין מה שקורה בין ישראל לפורטוגל, וכמובן על האפשרויות שאנחנו יכולים להמליץ או פחות להמליץ עבורכם. בסופו של דבר יהיו פה כמה טיפים מעניינים ששווה מאוד לחכות עבורם, וכמובן פאנל של תשובות. אתם לגמרי מוזמנים לכתוב לנו בצ'אט מה בעצם מביא אתכם לוובינר הזה, אולי על אזורים ספציפיים שאתם מתעניינים בהם, יש הבדלים בין הקמת פעילות עסקית בין המיינלנד בפורטוגל לבין האיים, אני יודע שחלקכם גם מתעניינים בזה ולכן אתם פה, זה גם משהו שחשוב לדבר עליו. סוגי העסקים, איזה סוג התאגדויות יש בפורטוגל, באיזה צורה נכון לפעול כפרטיים, מתי נכון לפעול כחברה, מה בעצם מעניין אתכם, אני אשמח שתשתפו אותנו בצ'אט, ובאופן כללי על כל התהליך, ואולי השלב שבו אתם נמצאים כרגע בכל המהלך הזה, חלקכם, כמו שאמרתי קודם, נמצאים בתהליך רילוקיישן, וזה שלב בלתי נפרד ואולי אפילו הכרחי כדי להתחיל את התהליך. אז ככה חשוב שניתן לדברים גם את הקונטקסט הנכון. אז נועם ואני נמצאים כאן, אני אסף, עבדכם הנאמן, נועם פרץ יוכל בטח לחשוף את עצמו עוד רגע, הנה בצ'אט, נועם נכנס.
אהלן לכולם.
אהלן.
טוב לראות את כולכם פה, מקווה שתמצאו את הוובינר הזה מועיל, כמו שאר הוובינרים שלנו, וזהו, תודה לכולם שהצטרפתם, אני נועם.
תודה רבה יקירי. ובמסגרת הרצף, הסדרת הוובינרים שלנו, אנחנו באמת מזמינים כל אחד ואחד מכם לשתף אותנו ואת כל הקהילה בעצם דברים שיכולים לדעתכם לעניין את כולם, אולי הזדמנויות עסקיות מעניינות, תחום השקעה שאתם ככה בודקים אותו בפורטוגל ונשמע לכם ששווה לשתף, אולי איזשהו שירות שאתם צריכים, או שאתם יודעים שאתם איתרתם ואחרים צריכים, אז יש הרבה מקום ככה להפיץ את הבשורה ולשתף עם כולם, ואתם מאוד מאוד מוזמנים להצטרף גם לקהילת העסקים שלנו של בורטוקלה, יש פה לא מעט אנשים שכבר הצטרפו והם חלק מהקהילה, אתם יכולים להנגיש בעצם את השירותים שלכם דרך האתר שלנו ודרך הניוזלטר וכל הפלטפורמה שלנו, אז ככה זאת הדרך שלנו לתת חזרה, ונצלול אולי פנימה רגע, לפני שאנחנו נכנסים ממש לפרטים, אני יכול להגיד לכם שהסיפור הזה של הקמת עסק בפורטוגל, הוא סיפור שאני, לשמחתי או לצערי, עברתי בו דרך מאוד מאוד ארוכה, דרך כמה תחנות, גם דרך הפעילות האישית שלי וגם דרך הקמה של כמה חברות בשותפויות, חברה בבעלות אישית, ואני יכול להגיד לכם שהשאלות שיש פה הן שאלות ענקיות שהרבה פעמים העומס של המידע וחוסר האחידות בין נותני השירות הוא פשוט מטמטם, אי אפשר לקבל תשובה באמת אחידה, והיה חשוב לנו לשים פה איזושהי נקודת פתיחה וליישר קו לכולם, כדי לדעת איך נכון לכם לגשת בכלל לכל התהליך, בין אם זה אומר הקמת פעילות אישית, בין אם זה אומר הקמת חברה מרחוק, ובין אם זה אומר התאגדות עם שותפים כשאתם נמצאים בפורטוגל, לכל אחד מהדברים האלה אנחנו ננסה ככה לתת איזושהי זווית אחרת, וזה באמת עולמות מאוד מאוד שונים. יש גם, אפילו בתוך האתר שלנו, יש הרצאה שלמה שמדבר על סוגים שונים של התאגדויות לחברה בפורטוגל, ויש לכל אחד את ההיבטים המשפטיים והמיסויים, נקרא לזה הקואופרטיביים שלו, ושווה גם להכיר את העניין הזה. היום אנחנו נתעסק בעיקר בפן החשבונאי יותר, מיסויי, ככה שאני אשמח אם נוכל לרכז את השאלות בכיוון הזה, כדי שפדרו יוכל לענות בצורה הכי טובה. אז כמובן, מה שהתחלתי לדבר עליו זה העניין של אופי המידע החלקי או המטעה שיש בהרבה מקומות ברשת. יש מבנה הרשויות בפורטוגל הוא יחסית שונה מבישראל, יש הרבה דמיון, אבל יש גם הרבה שוני. הגופים השונים אחראים על חלקים שהם טיפה שונים, גם לאורך ההתאגדות וגם בצורת הדיווח וכל מיני כאלה. כמובן שעולם המושגים הוא שונה, ופערי השפה זה ברור, וגם מה שדיברתי קודם, הנושא של האזורים השונים, ההבדל בין הפעילות באיים, שמושכת לא מעט אנשים, בטח מי שעובד ברימוט, וגם לעומת ההתאגדות וצורת המיסוי במיינלנד, וכמובן יש הרבה מאוד חוסר בהירות שדיברתי עליה כבר קודם, ופה באמת אנחנו מנסים, שוב אמרתי, לייצר איזשהו אישור קו, ולתת תמונה יותר כוללת, ולפשט עבורכם עד כמה שאפשר את התהליך, ובסופו של דבר להגדיל את הסיכוי שלכם להצליח למצוא את הפתרון המתאים. אז אני לא ארחיב עוד במילים, ואני אעביר את המיקרופון, נקרא לזה, לפדרו. So Pedro, thank you again for joining us. I just made a small, quick intro in Hebrew, just for the sake of alignment. Go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Azaf, and thank you all for being here in this subject that it's very important when we make a move. And Azaf, I will need your help to pass the slide. Okay, I just say slide.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
thank you all for being here. I'm Pedro Guerreiro from Shato-Biz. We are partner of Bורטוקלה, and in this small webinar we're going to try to give you some information about what are the steps to create a business here in Portugal, as independent freelancer or creating a company. As you know, depending of your expectations, depending of your business, some direction or a different direction can be made in both according with your business. So we will try to explain simple as possible the way to create the business, and we after that we're going to compare what is best or can be best for you in a fiscal way, or create a business as a freelancer or create a business as a company. And if you have any questions along this presentation, or if you have difficult with the English, please note your question, and at the end, with the help of Asaf, we can manage your questions, and we will try to answer the better way as possible. So please, okay. So first of all, we're going to explain what we do, and present a little bit myself. So here in Chateau-Biz, what we do is a one-stop shop for financial services. That includes accounting, that includes also fiscal and financial consulting. That's quite important before doing the first step, because before doing something, it's better to plan. So depending of your personal situation, depending of what is your business idea, maybe it's better to do a diagnosis and plan your move, or even decide if move or not, to create a new business. So that's a service that we do, and we also work with non-refundable funds, with subventions that also exist in Israel. So what these subventions are for? This is for leverage your business. If you have if you need a help for the government to do more things with the same money, you can get subventions related essentially with investment projects. Okay, you can have subventions for hiring people, but essentially for investment, to buy equipment, to develop your platform or develop your business. Usually they are not valid for buying cars, buying houses or buildings, and that's it. So we also do company valuation. For example, if you want to buy a company and you want to know what is its value, that's a service that's very useful to see if you are making a good business or it's not a good opportunity. So with that, in that situations, we do the valuation. Or if you have a company and you want to increase capital to attract new investments, that's an opportunity as well to do company valuations. Or if you want to leave your company and want to sell, it's good to have the price to negotiate. And related with the fiscal and financial consulting, and we already plan the fiscal benefits for the people that are moving to Portugal, not only for the persons, but also do an entire framework between the business and the person. Because at the end of the day, we search a fiscal optimization. So it's a way to before doing the first move, to have a plan and to at least know what you are going to pay in taxes this year, next year, and the following years. So we use in all these services, we use a lot of technologies, especially in the monthly services like accounting and fiscal, with artificial intelligence, and great part of our job and our relationship with clients is digital. So it means that you can be in any part of the world and work with us, even if you have the company here in Portugal. We have several cases that, for example, I never been with the manager or the partner of the company that it's registered here in Portugal, or I see once a year. Okay, and we can work all the year with in a very effective way. Another thing that we do is company creation. We help with our lawyers, we help people to create companies here in Portugal and have a transition as quick as possible to Portugal and to begin the activity and the business. So please slide that off. Okay, just talking a little bit, just to present myself. I started activity in financial services it's 20 years ago at Deloitte in audit and in banking audit, and my main clients were Santander Bank, BBVA, and the Portuguese banks like Millennium, BPI, and that's why. But I started there, and then I was a financial and management trainer and advisor for managers and companies. And then in 2019, I created the Shato-Biz brand, and I have another company that is not related, but that also belongs to the group related with office material for companies and equipment protection. So let's move forward. So when we come to Portugal, there are two ways of creating a business. So the entire process, it's different. And one, it's more related with yourself and your personal situation. Another one is to develop a company. So slide, please. When we go and move to another country, it's important how to manage the uncertain and to have a way more easier than if you not have any help. For example, here when you move to another country, we have a cultural adjustment. So, for example, in some countries, we speak with people and we think that, okay, these guys are mad. And they are not, it's just culture. And the way of doing business, it's also different. So if you have here a friend or a company that helps you to do that relation, it will help you and have more probability of success. Another personal but also professional difficulty is the language. That's why it's important, for example, to have some documentation at least in English, not only in Portuguese, because here in Portugal, there's a lot of people that speaks English, but especially in public services that we need at the first time, it's very difficult to find somebody that speaks Portuguese. And then we need help for that part. And there's another situations that as a person or as a professional, we need help. So in three of them, of this list, we can help. So in legal and bureaucratic challenges, for example, if you need some relation with the fiscal authority or social security or another institution, we can help by doing the intermediation with that institution. It's also very important that we talk in the beginning the financial and fiscal situations. So each person has a different situation and must be evaluated independently. So there is not a standard roadmap for everyone. So it depends. The things depends of your family, depends of your situation, depends of your business, the kind of business that you want to develop. So it's very important to have some help before doing the first step. It's important as well when you create a business, knowing, for example, that you can have access to public health services in all Europe through Portugal. For example, if you have a business here, through the Portuguese Social Security, you can get a card that allows you to be served by any public hospital in Europe. So it's very important, not only if you are here in Portugal, but if you travel along Europe as well. So there's some things that, or some services in some situations that can be easier to have help and to not be a rookie when you move to another country. Please, Azaf. So, what is the best option for you? As we talked before, there's not a standard situation. So, for example, in one thing that we used to recommend to our clients, it's a question that we always make to ourselves, or at least time to time we think about it, is where we want to be in 5 or 10 years. And that's very important, because it's the thing that it's going to make you happy. For example, we had a client that was satisfied with a very small business. She doesn't want to grow, and she's happy like that, and it's good as well. So depending of what you want to do, maybe a good option is to be to work as freelancer, for example. So it depends of what you want to do. The best option will be taken. Not only your preference, but of course another things are included, like the stage of the business. If you are in the beginning, you are starting almost from zero, or if you have only one client, maybe start slowly, not create a company. Or if you are not comfortable with your income, maybe it's better to not create a company yet. And for example, if your clients are very demanding with institutional brand, maybe it's better to create a company. So, and of course, topic very important, it's your expected sales, not only because a fiscal situation, but also because of the institutional and reputation part that's important. So for that, in that decision, it's important to do an overview, and of course do that knowing the personal preferences and the objectives of your business. It will be decided the best way for you. And slide, please.
Pedro, at this stage, I would like to ask our guests here. Maybe you can write down in the chat what is your main idea? What kind of business you're aiming for? Maybe you can also raise some questions about what is unclear for you in order to make a decision, and then we can address that in the next part of the presentation.
Yes, because it will be different answers for that. So yeah. It depends of the personal situation, the business development, and that's important to know specific things, because specific situations, because can be an example for others. So, and another thing that it's important to talk is not only about the fiscal situation, but the resident situation. So be Portuguese resident, it's different of being fiscal resident. You can get resident permission through several ways. You can be a digital nomad, or you can have an investment. There are specific visas to invest in companies and in financial products. You can have a labor contract. So these are used to have a resident permission as a citizen. Another thing is to be or not to be a fiscal resident. It's only for business purposes. Okay, so there are some fiscal benefits for the new Portuguese fiscal resident. Okay, so you can be, for example, a fiscal resident and don't have the resident permission, and the opposite also can be possible. Okay, so I will explain to you 2 or 2.5 fiscal benefits that exist right now, and they are going to exist in the future. And it's an important part to decide if you are going to create a business in Portugal or not. So currently, what is active right now, it's a status that it calls NHR, non-habitual resident, that has 20% flat tax for labor income, and there is no tax for income of another countries. Okay, for example, if you have a salary that you pay taxes in another country, or if you have dividends for a foreign company that is not Portuguese, so you are not paying taxes here in Portugal. It can be obtained until the 31st of March with certain conditions. Your move to Portugal should start before 2024. So if you start your movement to Portugal in 2023 or before that, you can still apply for this. And I recommend to do it if you don't lose anything to apply for this. And this,
Pedro,
yes.
just if you don't mind, I will explain a little bit more about this because I know that some people are very interested. I'll switch to Hebrew, okay? אז חברים, יש לא מעט אנשים שהתחילו את תהליך המעבר שלהם בשלבים. חלקם רכשו דירה, חלק רשמו את הילדים לבית הספר והתחייבו לאיזשהו תהליך אולי מול מקום עבודה או משהו כזה. מי שהתחיל את התהליך לפני התאריכים שפדרו ציין, בעצם זכאי להירשם עדיין גם בצורה מאוחרת לתוכנית של NHR ולקבל את ההטבות האלה. ההטבות מאוד מאוד משמעותיות, וזה משהו שמאוד מאוד חשוב להכיר. אני יכול להגיד לכם שאחד הלקוחות שאני עובד איתם, באמת התחיל את התהליך מאוד מאוד מוקדם, ורק בקרוב הוא מקבל את הנכס שלו, וזה עדיין מקנה לו את ההטבה הזאת, שבשבילו היא הייתה מאוד משמעותית במעבר. פדרו, sorry, please continue.
Thank you, אסף.
אפשר שאלה שקשורה לנושא, אסף?
Please, go ahead.
Yes, I will ask in English. Hi, Pedro. So my question about the NHR status is, until when can I change my tax residency in order to still apply for that? So do I need to do it this year, or I can do it until 31 of March?
It's better to do this year. You can do it until 31 of March, but the criteria to access this is to have at least the residence permission requirement before October 10th. If you have kids, the same thing. If you have inscription of the kids in school before that date, or if you have a rental contract here in Portugal before October 10th, you can still apply for NHR. It must be, we can share, Asaf, if you agree, the criteria to access the NHR. Okay?
Absolutely. Pedro, just in Yitzhak's case, it's even more relevant because Yitzhak actually lives here in Portugal right now and owns the property. So it's even easier for you in your case, Yitzhak.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Yes, if the purchase process started in 2023, it's possible to apply for the NHR, of course. Mm-hmm. So this is active until the first quarter of 2025. And it's easy through this to have the fiscal benefit through the NHR than the next one. That's efficiency. So the regime that is going to be exist after the NHR, the benefits are almost the same. Okay, it's 20% flat tax in IRS for labor income, and be exempt of foreign income that is taxed outside. And these two, but the criteria to access this is a little bit more difficult than NHR. Okay, it's not on the field yet. It's on the paper, but it's not active yet. Okay, there's no way how to apply for this yet. We are waiting for the negotiations of governmental budget for 2025 to see how this is going to happen. But I believe the Portugal, as another countries, must have an attractive regime. So let's see how this is going to be in practice in the next weeks.
Yes.
And yes.
Just to let you know, we are starting to get more and more questions on the chat. Since I believe that we're going to answer them in a few minutes, I believe that we should hold. So guys, just hold on a minute. We will get to these answers very quickly.
Yes, I'm going
Please,
to. Meanwhile, maybe I answer some questions along the way, but at the end I'm available, of course.
Yeah.
And this one thing that's important, especially for people that has not so high revenue or income, is that this fiscal benefit, it's an option. So you can use it or not. This is valid for 10 years, this benefit. But if some year it's better for you not to use the NHR and use the global taxes, the normal taxes of any Portuguese citizen, you can use it because you can pay less taxes. For example, now we did a lot of NHRs this summer. And at the end of the day, until 30,000 euros, 40,000 euros, depending of the family, but was better not applying the NHR because they could recover more taxes or pay less taxes. So this is important to know that it's an option. Okay, this is a good option, especially if your revenue is getting higher. Okay, more than 50,000 euros a year. Okay, so but it's always better ask to your accountant or ask us to do a simulation and see what is the best option for you. Okay, and another benefit that some people forgot, for people that are less than 35 years old, it's a special IRS that is even better than NHR. Okay, especially for lower income. Okay, usually people of the age of 20s, early 30s, maybe win less money. So this is a good option to have even more fiscal benefit than the 20% flat tax. There are some very good exemptions for these years. And also don't forget that if you want to buy a house, if you are a Portuguese fiscal resident, less than 35 years old, you don't pay property tax, property transaction tax. Okay? It's called EMT in Portugal. When you buy a property, you pay two taxes: the property transaction tax, IMT, and stamp tax. The IMT is very high, even for normal resident. So the persons that have age before 35 are exempt of this tax. Okay, this goes from 2% to 8%. It's a lot of property value. So maybe it's good to know if you can be included in this benefit when you buy a property or when you do the annual declaration of IRS. So That's it. So let's talk about the differences between the process of creating a business as individual or creating a company. Okay, slide. So let's start with the individual. What steps do you must do to create a business here in Portugal? First of all, get the NIF. You can do almost anything in transactions, or big transactions, or have a business without NIF. That's the first thing you must do if you are thinking, or if you want to come to Portugal to have your business, or if you want to buy a property, you need the fiscal number as well. If you want to buy a car, you need the fiscal number. So you can do it through several ways. Go yourself to a fiscal authority agency, and it's very, I can tell you that the majority of them, it's almost impossible to go there, and the ones that are possible, the majority of the people doesn't speak English. But if you can try with some person that speaks Portuguese. If you don't go there, you can have an NIF through with a power of attorney. It's the POA. You can have it, and every people that is from outside European Union needs a fiscal representative. It will be the front office between you and the fiscal authority. It calls finances here in Portugal. So this is mandatory, and that fiscal representative must be a company or a person here in Portugal can ask the NIF, the fiscal number for you. This fiscal representative will be responsible for telling you your fiscal obligations. Okay, so there's a responsibility of being a fiscal representative. So there's persons that do that. There are companies that do that. So you can get another one.
Pedro, Pedro, if you don't mind, I want to add something important here, because I know that some Israelis have already made a mistake about this. The law actually allows people to issue their own NIF in finances. That's true, but right now, as soon as you start any fiscal activity, meaning creating a bank account, renting a car, having any type of contract in Portugal, it means that you're obligated to have a tax representative that will be, like Pedro said, the front line for the communication with all the authorities in Portugal. If you don't have that, basically you're breaking the law, which is quite a problematic situation to be in, because you basically can be marked for someone who didn't communicate back or didn't reply to some of the requests of the authorities. I know that some people have made this mistake, so just raising a big flag here, don't do that. It's not recommended at all.
Yes, and let me add something. When somebody or some company, usually are lawyers, but you can have a friend or another person's. When they get an NIF, please get your password as well. The fiscal representative will receive the password. Okay, so usually the people with very early, what happens is, okay, make me the NIF, and after that, that's an empty space, because without having the password, you are not aware of your fiscal situation. Okay, so that's important. It's important to have access always to the website of the fiscal authority. And as Azaf was telling very well, usually is the fiscal representative who is responsible to inform you your fiscal obligations. If you buy a car, if you buy a house, that's a fiscal activity. It's not necessary to be a business. So that person can also be responsible for your acts. So it's very important to have some confidence in the fiscal representative, and especially contact, because sometimes you have an if and you lose contact with the lawyer, or you lose contact with the person that took care of this process. So it's very important that you have the contact at least until you have the password. This password is sent to the address of the fiscal representative in 5 days, working days. So if you, for example, you do it today, in the next week, it should be received that letter. After that, after having the password, you have control in your fiscal situation. And that fiscal representative is not more necessary if you become a Portuguese fiscal resident. Okay, then you are own responsible, and the fiscal authority can contact you instead of that fiscal representative. So this is for early stages of the move that you do to Portugal. It's used to have the fiscal number, and if you don't live here, it's useful to have the fiscal representative. If not, change your address to Portugal if it's good for you, and you will not need a fiscal representative. Usually, if he is not a friend, for example, this service is paid, and this, because of the responsibility, it's not cheap. So it's better to at least to be aware in this part, because it's very important. And sometimes you need documents from this website. Okay, you can have it in 10 seconds, but you need to go to the website, so you need the access. And to do the fiscal number, what you need, it's the fiscal representative, your ID, and the proof of residence of your origin country. That could be an electricity bill, a bank bill, anything, no, but especially water services and electricity that has there your name and your address. Okay, and you will need that as well to create a bank account. So opening bank accounts in Portugal is getting more and more difficult. So what you're going to need is the fiscal number, an ID document, and a proof of residence in the origin country. So the same thing, the same documents that were used to get an if it's going to be necessary to open a bank account. You can open a bank account in 2 ways: going there directly, or some lawyers can do that service for you. Okay, not in all banks, only in certain banks, but it's possible to use a lawyer to open a bank account.
Pedro, if you don't mind, I suggest that we will go a bit faster, because I know that the people are okay.
Yeah. Okay, so if you want to open a business as independent, one another thing that you're going to need is the social security number. Okay, it's possible to get it online, and you can do it directly, or having help of a company that can provide this service. Please, another slide. The first step to create a business as freelancer in Portugal is to change your fiscal address to Portugal. You cannot be a freelancer if your fiscal address is not a resident. I repeat, your fiscal address is not in Portugal. You will have a penalty. So to do this, you will need a proof of residence request with a certain address that you used for the residence, and or a property contract. Can be a purchase of a property or a rental contract. Rental contract always at least 1 year. Okay, and then you can start the activity with your password and your NIF of the fiscal authority, and then you can do invoices normally to your clients and develop your activity normally. Slide.
Pedro, I will address a few of the questions regarding the individual activities that we already have here. So one question was, does the fee for accounting of a company is higher than an individual?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, that is usually how it's done. What else? Okay, so there was another one. Is it possible that I already received the NIF when I was in Portugal to get my ID and passport, but I never had lived there before? So, Pedro, I'm not sure if you know that, but since there are quite a lot of Israelis who are, they are valid, they are able to get Portuguese citizenship. So nowadays, they get the NIF already when they get their ID, their cartão de cidadão or their passport. So it's true, Amit, that you already got your NIF, but be aware that if you didn't ask for it, you don't have any tax representative. Which in this case, this is what happened to many people that I know, that they thought that they are able to go ahead and do a fiscal activity in the country, but the truth is that they had the number, but it wasn't, they were not able to actually use it well because they didn't have the code for finances, like Pedro said, and they didn't have anyone to communicate with the authorities for them, which is illegal, okay? So this is exactly the example that I wanted to talk about before.
Yes, and we had some situations that even in the citizen card, the NIF was not there. Okay, because it was done maybe at the same time, and the citizen card, when you did the citizen card, you didn't have the information of the NIF yet. So it's important to do one thing, and we're going to talk about that in the next steps. But like as I've said, it's important to be according with the law, because you have the card citizen, but to avoid any issues and to avoid any penalties in the fiscal situation, it's not about the citizenship, but in the fiscal situation, it's better to have all the compliance according with the law. And okay, then it's you already passed the next slide. Yeah. So and that's it for create a business as independent. To create a company, it's a little bit different, but always start with an NIF. So, and with a fiscal representative as well. And to create a company, it's more easy, because you can have the same documentation is needed that we talked before, but you can do it through a lawyer if you are not citizen. And to create a company, it's only necessary the documents and the power of attorney. Okay, and you can and to do that, it's taking a little bit time in the registration office. So it's if you need to do a business and a transaction soon, at least take three weeks or 1 month between submit the documents and have the company ready to work. Okay, this is important to plan, because there are some difficulties in the registration office. And then with the company, you open a bank account, your accountant will do a declaration, and in the next day you can work normally with that company. Next slide, please. Okay, I'm going to talk just a little bit about numbers to see what is better for you in a fiscal way. If it's better to create a company or work as independent. Okay, let's compare the first column and the last column. That's the most important. The difference is if you create a business for yourself or as independent, if something wrong happens, it's your assets as a person who are responsible for the debts of your business. when I say the assets, is your bank account essentially and your properties. So the fiscal authority goes there directly. For a company, no, it goes to the company assets. It's not your personal. So if something goes wrong, you have time to not be responsible and to move your assets to or another person, or it's better to another person, or move from the Portuguese accounts. So in terms of risk, it's a little bit more risky to have a personal business as freelancer than having a company, okay? And if you have anonymous society, you can have two companies here in Portugal, a limited and anonymous society. If you have an anonymous society company, then you are not, as shareholder, you are not responsible. So this is one of the main things about the decision of creating a company or work as individual, and the fiscal situation. If you have the NHR, it's great. You pay 40% of your income. Okay, but if you don't, you pay from zero. If you don't have any income, you don't pay any taxes. But if you earn more than 90,000 euros, then you start paying a lot, 48% of IRS. It's a lot. So there's a threshold, depending on your personal situation, that is better to create a company, to not be too much taxed. Okay? This is in IRS or the company taxes. The other important tax is Social Security. If you create a business as freelancer, you are exempt in the first year of Social Security. But after 1 year, 12 months, you will pay 15% average of your income. So if your income is, I don't know, maybe 10,000 euros per month, you will pay a lot of Social Security. So it's better to create a company. And as I said before, it's always good to do permanent simulations about your situation. Okay? Please slide.
Pedro, I have a question here.
Yeah.
Do we have a question?
Please,
Yes,
please, go ahead.
Yeah, so my question is about the exemption for the first year. So is there a ceiling to that exemption?
Sorry, is there?
Is there a ceiling, like a maximum value?
For the exemption
Yeah.
of Social Security?
For the first year.
Usually is not very common. I don't have that idea.
Okay,
Yeah,
and my
I
Not very
never
common
heard
to happen that.
Yeah,
Because if your revenue starts to be higher, then it's better to create a company, because you are paying a lot of Social Security, a lot of IRS. Okay, so that maximum, there's a maximum. Allow me to say that's a maximum of Social Security that you will pay. It's 2,000 and something euros. Okay, so more than that you'll not pay. But paying 2,000 euros of Social Security, it's a lot. Okay, when you can pay a lot less in the company. Okay, there's a limit. If it was the question, there's a limit of Social Security that you will pay per month. Okay.
Okay, and my second question on the same subject is, if I already opened my activity a few years ago, but I was not a tax resident in Portugal, and then I'm going to be tax resident, can I still get this benefit, or this benefit is only if I open it now?
No, this benefit to open an activity, you will need to be a Portuguese fiscal resident, because if not, you get a penalty. So once that you open the activity, it's for everybody.
No, but I open an activity just for rental, not for a company or a business.
For rental?
Yeah, for income of rental.
Okay, if you have, but rental is not it can be done without an activity open. Okay, you can be just, you can have a property and rent that property, and it doesn't mean that you have a business activity. Okay, it's only for that.
יצחק, you mean alojamento local, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so alojamento local usually, yeah.
But that is an activity. So you should have your activity open because you are paying 6% VAT in your sales, and that must be declared as a freelancer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
I hope that answered that. And yes, you after 1 year you will pay social security. Short-term rental, in Portuguese alojamento local, has a specific situations. It also has a specific tax for that when you fill the IRS declaration. But in terms of social security, it's your income anyway. Okay, so after 1 year, you will pay as well as any person that has activity open the social security. It's a business. Okay, so it is the same. Yes.
Just 1 second, I'll switch to Hebrew. חברים, אני רואה שיש פה כל מיני שאלות, גם לגבי האמנות, גם לגבי תקרה של, לא תקרה, רמת הכנסה, והאם להקים חברה או עצמאי, אז אנחנו ניגע ממש, אנחנו עדיין כבר נוגעים בחלק מהדברים, אבל לאט לאט אנחנו נגיע להכל, ובגלל זה אני לא כל כך נוגע עכשיו בשאלות האלה. לגבי האמנה, אנחנו נשאיר את זה לסוף ברשותך עופר, כי זה נושא שיכול להיות כבד ויכול קצת להסיט אותנו למקומות אחרים. אז פדרו, please proceed.
Okay, just do not worry about the numbers. We have here an example of work as freelancer and work as a company, a tax example. And I simplified this. For example, for a revenue, this is not an HR, okay? The HR is 20% of 70% of this value. So if you are not an HR, the difference between creating a company or work as freelancer is having a company, you can save almost 4,000 euros in taxes, okay? In these conditions that we have here. So in this situation of having 70,000 euros, it's better to have a company. Okay, the next slide. Other simulation, it's not with 70 but with 50. Okay, so we can check here that in this situation, and I repeat, depends of the personal situation, about the family situation as well, not only the NHR. The freelancer here pays less taxes than a company, okay? Because the company has its own taxes, and to take out the money from the company, it also pays dividends. So it's taxed, especially if the company is Portuguese, of course. This is the two simulations. There is no unique threshold when you can say, okay, from this, for everybody, it's better to create a company from that a certain amount. Okay, so that's why it's important to do simulations according with your reality.
Pedro, in that sense, Yitzhak Ben Ephraim asked at the beginning about a very particular case that actually goes right in between these numbers. So he's saying that he's going to open a small bakery and basically food business. And the expectation for the first year is about 60,000 euros with the ambition to double the revenue within 2 years. Will it be better to create a company, or is it enough to be individual, to have an individual activity?
In this case, it's selling products. Normally, the freelancers are selling services. But selling products has a different taxation. So in the example of the bakery, it's better to have for that amount and even higher, it's better to have work as freelancer. Okay, and when it double, then it's possible to check again. But the taxation for freelancer is 35% of your revenue. It's standard. So it doesn't matter about your costs. If your costs, that's why this regime, it's very useful for services, because the services usually don't get a higher amount of costs. For example, if you do a service for 1,000 euros, your cost, it's time. You only need a computer. So, but for products, it's different. So if you have a very small margin in your products, then it's better to create a company. Okay, but because you can insert there your costs. If you have, if your margin is, for example, 50% or 70%, then it's better to work as freelancer, because you will be taxed in a standard way. Your costs doesn't matter. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The fiscal authority says that 70% of your income it's profit, so you will be taxed for the profit. Okay, that's 70%. In no matter what your costs are. Okay, can be higher or can be lower, but it's the simplified regime for freelancers. That's good for.
Isn't it the other way around? Isn't it the other way around? 65%, as far as I know the numbers, 65% are actually considered as costs, not as profit.
No, it's profit.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I hope other people are hearing this, because it's quite new for me.
For products, that's the difference between service and products. For products, the 35% of your sales, it's profit. So 65 is cost. This is for products, not for services. For services, the 70%. And the short-term rental has a specific regime. It's quite different as well. So, and I just to inform, it's a technical thing, but there's a list of services that are taxed in 70%. If you are not in that list, but a lot of services are included in that list. If you are not included, then you can be taxed with the 35 as well as a service. But it depends of the situation. So depends of the business. Okay. So
okay. So maybe this is why I heard about it.
Usually,
Okay.
if it is about a gray line, we also do it with our clients. We prefer we can justify to use the 35% instead of the 70%. But must be very clarified that the business that the person does not belong to that list of the services with the 70%. So this is just to simplify, two examples of that can be useful for you to do a decision in a fiscal way. Okay, this is not having this decision, as we talked before, is not only fiscal, but it matters a lot. So move forward. So usually when we start a business with small amounts, if we are not sure if our clients were going to buy, maybe it's better to start slowly and to start as independent. As we talked before, you have 1 year that you don't pay Social Security as freelancer. That means cost saving. Okay, you don't need as well organized accounting. So it's more saving. So until your brand, until your product or your service have a certain level of income and clients, maybe it's better to start as freelancer and then move forward to a company. So the between the two decisions is to always do simulations, and please ask the simulations to the people that are professionals, because there's a lot of other professionals that are giving wrong information, and especially it's important to know what is going to happen or expect to happen in the future. So, for example, here in Portugal, it's expected that the taxation in companies decrease a little bit. Okay, so it's better to, instead of having profits this year, having profits next year. It's possible to push the profits to next year. So it's very important to think not only today, but what is going to happen tomorrow. And these decisions depends, of course, if you have the NHR, if you have kids, what are your expenses? So if you live in your own house or a rental house, so that's important to check if you pay more or less taxes. Next, just to finish and to ending, some tips. Some of them maybe you know. It's important when you create a business that you have a separate bank accounts, one for personal and another one for the business. And even with two situations, it's important to know that your personal expenses are not the business expenses, because if you mix two, you'll never will know if your business is profitable or if you, at the end of the day, you have money to pay only the company expenses or the business expenses. One thing that is that always is boring is to insert your fiscal number in your purchase invoices, not only in Portugal but also outside Portugal, because without that it's impossible to validate your invoices, and your costs will not be valid. And especially, you cannot recover the VAT in your purchase. If your clients are are non-Portuguese, then you are in normal regime of VAT. That means you can recover the VAT in your purchases. So if when you buy things or services, you not include your VAT, you are losing money. Okay, so that's an important tip to have in mind here in Portugal. Another one is to send that information to the person or the company that is taking care about your accounting. So even if you work as independent freelancer, and especially for a company, if you send the documents on time, then you will get reports on time. And next one.
Just 1 second. I want to really maybe talk a little bit more about this issue of inserting your NIF. So it's not common in Israel to do that, especially for private activities. I will just switch to Hebrew about that. חברים, מי שמגיע לפורטוגל זה משהו שהוא מאוד מאוד שונה, אז בעצם זה מעין סוג של לקבל חשבונית מס עבור כל רכישה. בעצם מספר הניף שלכם הופך להיות מעין התעודת זהות שלכם בכל רכישה, ואז אם אתם רוצים לקזז אותה מתוך ההוצאות העסקיות שלכם, זה לא מספיק לקחת את החשבונית, אלא חשוב להכניס את הניף שלכם ככה שזה ייכנס אוטומטית למערכת, ואז בסוף החודש בכל מקרה, רוב רואי החשבון ממליצים בכל מקרה להגיש את כל החשבוניות ואת כל הקבלות וכל הדברים, ככה שכבר יהיה כתוב הניף שלכם עליהם וזה יהיה מיוחס לכם. בלי זה בעצם המערכת הפורטוגזית לא יודעת לעבוד, וזה הופך להיות הרבה יותר בעייתי לעקוב ככה אחרי הוצאות ולקזז. אז מי שעוד לא מכיר את העניין הזה בפורטוגל, סופר סופר חשוב לעשות את זה כבר מההתחלה. ולגבי עוד דבר אחד חשוב, העניין של חשבונות בנק, אז דיברנו על הקושי בפתיחת חשבונות בנק בזמן האחרון בפורטוגל, במיוחד למי שלא בעל אזרחות פורטוגזית. חשוב מאוד שאם אתם רוצים לעשות את הדבר הזה באיזשהו תהליך יחסית סדור ולמנוע עיכובים, אז חשוב להתחיל מבעוד מועד. אם אתם רואים שאתם, נניח, לא יודע, מתכננים רילוקיישן עוד 3 חודשים, עדיף שתפתחו את חשבון הבנק כבר ממש בהקדם, בקרוב, אפילו עוד לפני המעבר. זה ככה טיפים מהזמן האחרון, שהם מאוד מאוד חשובים. And this one, I think, Pedro, you already kind of talked about. Do not confuse revenue with your salary. It's more or less about the previous things that you mentioned.
And one important tip, especially to avoid physical presence in several public services, is get your CMD, Chave Móvel Digital. What is this? It's an access using your phone and the code that you set, and allow to you to access several public services like the fiscal authority, social security. For example, if you have a driver license, you can access that service as well. So it's very important to have it, and it will save you time. It will the things are doing faster if it's done through the platforms and not going in presence to somebody that maybe doesn't speak English. So you can get it by going to any, it calls in Portuguese, Espaço Cidadão or Loja do Cidadão, and you can go there with only your ID, and in 2 minutes you can set this code. Okay, you associate your phone with the code and you can access. So then it's possible to be done very, very fast. And for the people that has the Portuguese citizen card, you can do the download of the app autenticação.gov and do it through there. Okay, because the people that, for example, has the citizen card but the fiscal number is not included in there, then it's necessary to go in presence, in local, to the one of these two spaces, Loja Cidadão, Espaço Cidadão, and associate your NIF, your fiscal number, to this code. Okay, this is free and takes 2 minutes to do it, and it will make your life a lot easier with this. Instead of having several passwords for several public services, with one access you can access. With one way you can access a lot of services. That's very important when you get there. If you get here, or if you are here already, please do this. It's free and save you time. And
very, very important. And thank you, Pedro, for really repeating this issue, because I know that many people that relocate from Israel miss this kind of stop along the way of moving here, and then remembers after 3 years, oh my God, I can't access this service and I don't know how to do it. So guys, please, when you have the first opportunity to issue this, don't miss it. It's super important, can be useful for many things.
And the situation that we talked a little bit earlier, when, for example, if you have your NIF and you don't have contact with the person who took care of this, there's an opportunity to have access without any complications to the fiscal authority website, okay, and create your own password. And thank you all for the attention that you give. I hope to answer some questions, and Portugal has a lot of bureaucracy. We are here to simplify that and to explain the general rules of creating a company or creating a business as freelancer. I hope that I could help with some information, and I know that's a lot, but I'm glad to answer all your questions now, and I'm available to you.
So I'll switch to Hebrew, Pedro. Thank you so much. We already have quite a lot of questions that I think will take this discussion even forward. חברים, אז באמת מי שצריך עזרה בשלבים הראשונים, בהקמת חברה, בייעוץ, ואולי לטייב את התוכנית העסקית, להבין קצת יותר איך נכון לתכנן את המס שלכם קדימה, אתם מאוד 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 מוזמנים לפנות לפדרו. אנחנו מיד גם נשתף את הלינק בתוך הצ'אט. הנה נועם שלח לכם את הקישור, ואתם לגמרי מוזמנים לפנות אליו דרך האתר שלנו. אתם יכולים להשאיר פנייה גם בעברית, גם באנגלית, מה שנוח לכם. פדרו יקבל את זה באנגלית כמובן, ותוכלו להתקדם משם בשמחה. ושוב אני מזמין אתכם, באמת, אם יש לכם איזשהו נושא חשוב, נושא עסקי חשוב שמעניין אתכם בפורטוגל, איזו הזדמנות עסקית ייחודית, משהו שהוא מעניין ואתם חושבים ששווה לשתף אותו עם עוד אנשים בקהילה, לגמרי מוזמנים, וגם מוזמנים להצטרף לקהילת העסקים שלנו. גם את הלינק הזה נועם עכשיו שם בצ'אט. ועכשיו אנחנו באמת נתקדם לחלק של ה-Q&A, לשאלות והתשובות. So Pedro, now we're moving forward to the Q&A session. I think that what we're going to do now is maybe ask everyone who has a question to open your microphone. I will go one by one through the questions in the chat, and we can try to answer whatever we can. So most of them we already answered. One question, Pedro, that we have from Itai Harari: are stocks and investments outside of Portugal also exempt from taxation with NHR?
Usually, the countries where the stocks are taxed directly. If they are taxed outside Portugal, they are not taxed in Portugal. So, with the exception of a list of offshores and some countries with very specific regimes, the list is public. But normally the companies, the countries taxate in the source that dividends. So if you are taxed outside, you are not taxed here in Portugal. Even if the taxation here in Portugal, the general taxation, it's higher. For example, if you are taxed 5% in Switzerland, you are not taxed here 25 in Portugal, and you don't pay the difference. Okay, with the NHR, you are exempt on that kind of income.
Pedro, thank you. Please just let me specify this question. If I make a normal tax stock investments, buy stocks and sell with profit on the market, outside of Portugal, even outside of Europe, if it's American stocks or ETFs, from Ireland, and I sell with profit, I'm a tax resident in Portugal, then with the NHR, do I pay the tax or I don't for the profit? That's my question, actually.
Yes, the added value that you got in the difference, if they are not taxed outside Portugal, they are taxed here.
Because, as you said, the NHR means that you do not pay tax on profits gained outside of Portugal, right? So
yes, if they are taxed outside Portugal, they are not taxed. In that case, it's not taxed. So you will pay taxes here in Portugal.
Okay.
The condition, especially for the future, if you got already the NHR, is not a problem, but the future NHR, the FEC, the 2.0 NHR, there are some exemptions that not exist anymore. So that I don't know what is going to be, because it's in discussion in the parliament, but that kind of income that is not taxed in another country is taxed here in Portugal.
Okay, thank you.
And without the NHR, of course, it's taxed.
Yeah, thanks.
Adi, I don't know if you're already here with us. I don't see you. But anyhow, Adi Siso asked, I think it was about the NHR, if it's relevant also for citizens. And
I have just one parenthesis to the previous question. There's a bilateral agreements between certain countries that, depending of the type of capital gain, can be taxed or not. Okay, but must be it's necessary to see the direct agreement or between Portugal or between the European Union and that country. Okay, because that in some countries there are not exist a bilateral agreement, then it's possible that that income, even if it's taxed outside, could be taxed here in Portugal.
Okay. Thank you. About the NHR again, a different question, which is very common among the Israeli community that is relocating here, since some of them have already the citizenship, but they were not Portuguese residents before. So does the NHR apply also for new citizens who were not Portuguese in the last 5 years?
Yes. So one thing is to have the citizenship address in Portugal. Another one is to have the fiscal address in Portugal. So if you are not, and with that, it's very easy to get the NHR, because you can prove with your citizen card, okay, the process started before this year. So you can do the second stage, the second step that in the one of the slides, that is become a Portuguese fiscal resident by changing your address in the fiscal authority to Portugal, and then apply for NHR.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so another question that was made by Yitzhak. So if the company tax in Portugal is 21%, why do I need NHR?
It's not 21, it's 17 until 50,000 euros of profit, and above that is 21. And you have an extra, depends of the municipality, you have an extra tax between 0% and 1.5%. Why you need the NHR? Because if you need to take out the money from the company, or if you have a salary from the company, then you can use the NHR. Okay. One thing is that you don't lose anything by having it. Okay. So you can, because today you have a salary from a company that, okay, cannot be too big. But if your salary increases, then you're going to need the NHR. Okay.
So I think that something that wasn't maybe clear when Yitzhak asked this question is that NHR is a personal tax, and company tax is not personal. So first, the company pays the taxes for the profits, and in addition to that, and separately from that, if you gain salary from your company or from a company that you are a partner in, then you have a personal tax, which is a different thing. Yitzhak, I hope it was clear. I think it was. Another question from Ofer. Does a company tax include or do not include dividend or salary tax? I think we could partly answer these questions now, but maybe you should clarify also the dividends issue.
Yes. So if the profit is done in the company, having profit from dividend, from sales, it's everything the same. Okay. Only if you buy and sell properties, it's different. But okay, the company has the profit, perfect, 17%, or part of it 21%, and then you want to take out the money, you pay 28%, okay, as a dividend from a Portuguese company. Okay, that's if you win a salary, you receive from there. If not, and the company pays dividends to you, then is the 28%. I hope that that was the answer.
I think, Ofer, do you want to clarify if it was what you expected? And another question that Ofer asked is, it's not a question actually. He was curious about the double the double taxation treaty between Israel and Portugal, which is a very, very, very broad subject. So, Ofer, if you want to specify what question do you have about this, we can we will try to answer. Aliza, yes, of course, we will share the recording later, not the presentation, but the recording will be on the website afterwards. Guys, חברים, אם יש לכם עוד שאלות, אנחנו נשמח לענות. ויש לכם עוד שאלות? מישהו רוצה לפתוח את המיקרופון? מישהו מתעניין במשהו ספציפי? אתם לגמרי מוזמנים.
Yes, I have a question.
Hello, Yoav.
Hi. Okay, I want to ask this. Let's say I set up a Portuguese company and I give the company a loan. I create a loan agreement between me and the company, and then the company pays me interest. What is the tax that I will be paying as an individual in Portugal, assuming I'm a resident, for these interest payments?
It's for you as a person, it's capital gain. So it will, from the Portuguese companies, will be taxed in Portugal at 28%.
Okay, just to understand this, because in Israel there is what is called nominal and what is called real. That means inflation after inflation or nominal. So is it the nominal or is it the real interest rate beyond inflation?
Here we don't have that differentiation. It's a flat tax for capital gains. It's a flat tax, always the 28%. Then you can have, it depends on the situation of the dividends. You can have some fiscal benefits or not, but depend on the situation of the company. Okay, but usually the normal, it's the 28%. It's capital gain, so it's a flat tax. Interest, your interest that you receive from the company is not dividend, as I understand. So having that interest from your company or from a bank in a deposit is the same for Portuguese in terms of fiscal treatment. One thing is to have dividends from the company. Another thing is to have interests from the company.
Okay, so I will ask another question. Let's say I do set up the company, but I make a loan to the company as a foreign resident, not a Portugal resident, and I take interest payments, okay, to Israel. Now, I know what the Israeli taxation is, but the question is Portugal taxing me in that case, or it's just with the Israeli taxation authorities?
That interest is taxed in Portugal. For example, not only with your company, but for example, if you do an investment in Portugal that pays you interests, it will be taxed at 25% as a non-resident, definitely. Then in Israel, you're going to do a declaration that you already paid 25% here in Portugal to not be taxed again in Israel.
I will be, but it will be to the delta of 30% if I'm beyond the 10% shareholder in the company, but okay, fine. Thank you.
Guys, is there any other question maybe before we're going to finish? So it seems like we kind of covered all the questions. If anybody has any further question, you're more than welcome to write to Pedro through the link that we sent. And of course, you can always watch the recording online. And Pedro, I think you are welcoming everybody to write you whatever they need and maybe set up a meeting with you. חברים, תודה רבה שהצטרפתם אלינו, אני מקווה מאוד שהצלחנו לענות ולעזור לכם בצעדים הבאים שלכם בפורטוגל. אנחנו פה למה שאתם צריכים, ואנחנו נפרסם גם את ההקלטה בקרוב באתר שלנו. שיהיה לכולם ערב טוב ושקט וחג שמח. תודה רבה. Pedro, thank you so much. Good night.
Thank you for the invitation, and thank you for everybody to be present.
Okay.
Thanks, Pedro. Thank you.
Ciao, ciao. Good night.
Thank you.